Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to find out more about the Saluda Grade Trail Feasibility Study. I'm Christy Carter with Traffic Planning and Design, and this short presentation will introduce you to the feasibility study. In this presentation, I'll cover the following topics: who is developing the study, what are the benefits of rail trails, what is the purpose of the Saluda Grade Feasibility Study, what is the feasibility study analyzing, what is the timeline, what happens after the study, what we know and don't know, and finally, how you can give your input. The three nonprofit groups collaborating on the Saluda Grade feasibility study are Conserving Carolina, PAL, or Play, Advocate, and Live Well, and Upstate Forever. These groups, representing both North and South Carolina, are referred to as the nonprofit partners. They have a common goal to study the feasibility of converting the historic Saluda Grade line into a trail. They're also investigating how to link this corridor to the Acosta Trail to the north and the Daniel Morgan Trail system to the south. The nonprofit partners hired Traffic Planning and Design along with their subconsultants, Studio Maine, Equinox, and McAdams, to study the feasibility of the rail trail. Before we get into the details of the feasibility study, I first wanted to share that a rail trail is not a new concept, but has been happening in a lot of places throughout the U.S. In fact, there are 2,000 trails with over 25,000 miles of trails in the U.S. North Carolina has 31 rail trails and South Carolina has 16 trails, all of them of varying lengths. You may have heard about the recreational benefits of trails and greenways by providing an off-road, relatively flat trail for multiple uses such as biking, strolling, walking, and sightseeing. However, the total package of benefits that a trail or greenway can provide to communities includes transportation, public health, and economic benefits, as well as community pride. So what does it take to make one of these? We're going to explore that in the feasibility study. So what is a feasibility study? Before a rail line can become a trail, the partners and communities need to do some research to discover the following: if it can be done, how it can be done, what impact it may have, and what it will take to be successful. The experts are looking at such things as the environmental features, road crossings, bridges, the floodplain, the historical and cultural features, and potential costs. We are also teaming with researchers at Clemson University to study the impact of the local economy of the counties the trail would traverse. Things like how many jobs it could create and how many more dollars would be pumped into local economies. What is the timeline for the feasibility study? We began with an in-depth analysis of walking and documenting the existing conditions of the rail corridor in June and July. We're now spending the fall talking with you, the community, about your insights and possible concerns. In September, we sent letters to almost 500 landowners with properties adjacent to the trail to ask if they would attend one of two listening sessions. We are now asking anyone who wants to participate to join us for one of two public open houses. We will then conduct an in-depth analysis of costs, permitting, phasing, and other aspects of how the trail can be developed. We will compile that in a written document and share that with the nonprofit partners in the winter. Then finally, in 2024, we'll once again have a public meeting to share the findings from the feasibility study. So let's talk about what might happen after the feasibility study is complete. If the nonprofit partners decide to seek funding to convert the rail line and build the trail, the process for designing, permitting, and construction begins. This could be anywhere from a few to several years, depending on the funding sources, the level of permitting needed, and how challenging each section of the trail will be to engineer. Trail construction will be phased and will need local partners to see it to completion. But the first step in developing any large trail project like this is a guiding plan, and that is where we are now. The nonprofit partners acknowledge that there are unknowns right now, so let's discuss what we know and what we don't. What we know is the length of the study area and that it connects across state lines, 31 miles from Inman, South Carolina to Zirconia, North Carolina. We also know that the trail, if built, would be constructed in sections. We know that the trail, if built, would serve users of all ages and abilities. We know that the trail, if built, would help to tell the story and history of the Saluda Grade rail line. We know that the nonprofit partners are committed to hearing all voices in the process of discovery. Some things we don't know yet include who will provide maintenance, how will public safety be handled, what will the trail material be, or what the cost might be. During this process, your questions will help us understand more. We ask that you stay tuned because some of this will be answered during the course of the feasibility study. As we mentioned earlier, we will have another public presentation in 2024 to share what we learned during this feasibility study. Your input will help us continue to define the questions and help the nonprofit partners develop answers. So please continue to give your feedback by participating in our online survey. We are sharing the link and QR code here, and if you would like to stay informed, please sign up to receive updates at saludagradetrail.org. We thank you for your time and interest in the Saluda Grade Rail Trail.